Welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking Transformers, and we're talking Bumblebee the movie. Now I came across a very interesting article by Polygon which looks at the Transformers timeline, and what it does is it compares Bumblebee the movie and all the things that Bumblebee fixed from the live action universe. So that's going through the Transformers 5 live action films by Michael Bay, then comparing it to Bumblebee. Now, if you want to check out the article for yourself, you can do so via the link in the description box below. But before we get into the detail of this article, I want to make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you stay up to date with all my Transformers content. Now, this article gives praise to Travis Knight and his Bumblebee movie, but it is very critical of Michael Bay's live action universe. So if you're easily offended, probably worth clicking away. But I was a fan of Michael Bay's Transformers live action universe. However, towards the end, I was looking towards a new director. So I'm very interested to see how either these are factual or exaggerated points. But let's find out. So first and foremost, this article looks at Transformers 2007 and Megatron on ice. So it's focusing on Megatron being frozen out in 1895 AD. That was the story that was set in Transformers 1 by Michael Bay. So I'm just going to read an extract of this article, and then we're going to see whether or not this works, whether B corrected it, or whether the continuity is still okay and intact from Bumblebee. So let's read on. So Megatron being on ice, making his descent down to Earth and crash landing and being discovered by Archibald Witwicky, does that still work after the events of Bumblebee? Well, Polygon say this: all this could still very well have happened in the series' new timeline. Megatron was originally found and kept secret by the US government, though one assumes Cybertron has been an active non-stop war zone for several millennia if that's the case, since its civil war is still ongoing due to the events of Bumblebee. So no damage done to the Barverse with this first point, but it does make you question the capabilities of the Autobots and Decepticons, because Megatron touched down in 1895, and then the Autobots ventured down to Earth with Bumblebee in his pod in the 1980s, and I just find it hard to believe that no Decepticon ventured down to Earth in that time to find Megatron, particularly when Megatron's navigation system was activated by Archibald Witwicky and the coordinates of the Allspark was imprinted on his glasses. So the timeline stays intact, but you could easily not be satisfied with this, because you start thinking about Soundwave and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, where he was up in space, patrolling, looking for signs of Megatron, looking for signs of the Allspark. But for how long did he not have success for? Because we're talking past 2007. It just seems bizarre. And then you start thinking about Bumblebee, which is set in the 1980s, and the Autobots have located Earth as a place of refuge for Bumblebee to go to. So the Decepticons seem rather relaxed in their approach at finding their leader. Maybe Starscream told them to slack off a bit. But it just feels like such a big time gap before they managed to find the Decepticon leader. But I digress, and I want you to get involved in the comments section below and give me your views and opinions on each point. So with that, let's move on. So the next continuity point focuses on Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Oh dear. I will say though, before I get into this, I don't think Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is that bad. So although I know many, really don't like it, I would not, go all out and say it's the worst of the franchise. In fact, I think, Transformers The Last Night and Age of Extinction have just as many plot holes. So with that being said, I don't mind Revenge of the Fallen too much. Yes, it's big and it's out there and a lot of it doesn't make sense, but was that any different to Age of Extinction and The Last Night? Not really. So anyway, they're questioning at the moment the history of the first contact of a Transformer in 17,000 BCE. So we're talking about the Fallen. And Polygon say this. Over the course of the film, it's revealed that the Fallen, an ancient Transformer, tried to kill a bunch of early humans, only to be imprisoned by the Primes. Later we learn that the Transformers known as the Seekers remained on Earth in hiding for several thousand years. So in addition to Megatron crashing in the Arctic by accident, the Transformers were around in secret since before the dawn of the human civilization. And then a sarcastic comment of cool. Yeah, it's becoming one big old secret. But, you know, robots in disguise, maybe? I don't know. I agree. I kind of think when you're trying to imply and you're using a story or a plot that just keeps on trying to make out that the Transformers were here way before that, and then again they were here before that, I just think you're kind of getting yourself into muddy waters. I don't think you really need to keep going back, but it seemed like they kept doing that with the franchise, and every time they did do it, they just made things more and more confusing. And I know in this article we are going to touch on the ridiculousness that is Transformers The Last Knight, and we're going to touch on the story of that. But yes, I do get the point, and I think it's a valid one, because you're trying to keep a secret after a secret, and you're touching on that they were here before, and then before that. Yeah, it's getting confusing. So next we look at Transformers Dark of the Moon. Oh no. That's one of my favourites. In fact, it is my favourite Transformers film from the Barverse, although I will admit that Transformers 1 is the best Transformers movie Michael Bay put together. But I just really like Transformers Dark of the Moon. I like the whole space race, and of course I love the fact that Shockwave was involved. He was badass. But oh no, they're going to rip it, aren't they? The continuity, I'm sure, falls apart once again. Already thinking about it just now. But let me read the extract from Polygon and see what they say. So the film opens with the Ark, a Cybertronian spacecraft crash landing on the far side of the moon in 1961, which prompts John F. Kennedy to approve a manned lunar mission in 1969. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin discover a powered down Sentinel Prime, establishing once and for all that the Transformers were in fact already one of the US government's best kept secrets before their arrival in the original film. Now it goes on to say that in Bumblebee 2018, American officials, including one of the top secret access, seem to have no knowledge of the Transformers' existence in 1987. At least their desire to use them to get a leg up on the USSR remains intact. So yeah, even though Sector 7 would have been aware of this before, it was like they weren't in Bumblebee, because the space race and the mission that, you know, the Americans went up and found Sentinel Prime on the dark side of the moon, that was kind of non-existent. So no real true, you know, thought process of what went down in Transformers Dark of the Moon, because the 1969 detail didn't come into play because the humans were unaware of it, or the top secret agents were unaware of it, unless that part wasn't given access, if I'm trying to, you know, help the story out a little bit. But again, it doesn't really work. Or can you make it work? Let me know in the comment section below. So again, continuity problemo. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. That's not that bad. Or is it? They kind of just skipped an entire bit of history that the movie set out. Okay, that's bad. That's bad. Let's move on. Here we go. Transformers Age of Extinction. And I have to say, my least favourite Transformers films are Transformers Age of Extinction and Transformers The Last Knight. Although I think Megatron looks very menacing in Transformers The Last Night. That doesn't make up for the terrible storytelling. But let's talk about this one. So the fourth installment goes back much further than the moon landing. Turns out it was the Transformers rather than the meteor strike that wiped out the dinosaurs using something called Transformium. Curiously, we see a baby T-Rex get some of the Transformium on its back before disappearing off screen. The film later features dinosaur-themed Transformers, but despite the clear and obvious setup, the baby T-Rex infused with Transformers gunk and the adult T-Rex Transformer end up being unrelated. I never ever thought about that. That never even crossed my mind that that Transformer could have ended up being Grimlock. Maybe. But then, and I know what they're going to say, to be honest with you, with Polygon. I know what they're going to actually focus on. Again, Transformers, their history, it's before that. It just keeps on unraveling. But I'll read out the extract. In fact, the Dinobots aren't even from Earth, and the whole dinosaur prologue ends up unconnected to the main plot of the film, wherein Joshua Joyce, Stanley Tucci, revives Megatron to fight Optimus Prime for a fourth consecutive movie. Oh, and Optimus, who thus far has needed accessories to fly, is revealed to have had rocket legs the whole time. Oh my god. Yeah, man. I know, that is something that kind of annoys me, that Jetfire had to be like dismantled to help Optimus Prime become Jetwing Prime and fly to take down the Fallen and Megatron, but somehow he then develops, you know, rockets in his legs. Why the hell did you kill off Jetfire then? Oh god. Anyway, I'll continue. The film ends with him, and he actually swears in this article, saying effing off into space to fight God. I think, you know, he got a little bit uptight with this article as he decided to see so many plot holes. But in all fairness, you know, this article by Polygon, it's pretty on point. It does pull up a lot of issues. But he says somehow this isn't even the biggest question posed by the series. The fifth film is where things get really weird. They do. Fair play. They do. Oh my god. I've just actually scrolled and looked at the sheer amount of things that we find out in the fifth movie in terms of the secret history of Transformers. And you know, the article just says this: there's just so much. Here's a list of things we find out in the fifth Transformers, and it says Transformers The Last Night, 4.534 billion BCE. So like, you know, it's just kind of saying it's ridiculous, and I have to agree. And you need to go and read this article yourself, because there are so many points of what Transformers The Last Night was trying to tell. And then Bumblebee, if I'm honest, I might as well just say it, wiped all that out. You know, the actual secret history of the Transformers, all that stuff was extinct in Transformers Bumblebee. And with good reason, because I didn't like any element of this movie in terms of its story. And one thing that, you know, really wound me up about this movie was that Joshua Joyce, like we just mentioned, Stanley Tucci's character, is reprised as Merlin. He's not reprised, but you catch my drift. Recasting somebody as someone else in another installment of a film which there's supposed to be continuity is just a bad idea. But go and check this article out for yourself and read through the Last Night section in detail, because there is a lot. And then I will read this extract. So he's listed out a load of stuff that's wrong or that's questionable with the movie. There's plenty of it. And he says, wait a second. Was the order named after the Witwicky family? Did Archibald Witwicky intend to find Megatron? Was Sam Witwicky inducted into the order during the events of the series? Was this also something his family had been involved in prior? Or is this all just a big coincidence? Anywho, Stephen Hawkins was a Witwiccan. Burton, by referring to him as the Last Order, implies Stephen Hawkins has died. Stephen Hawkins was still alive in Transformers The Last Knight. Also revealed to be the Witwickens: Charles Darwin, just to list a few names, Beethoven, George Washington, oh my god, Da Vinci. I mean, come on. And then Hitler was killed by a tiny clock transformer. Oh jeez. Oh my god. Yeah, I get it. But it's safe to say that Bumblebee fixed the history of Transformers by simply ignoring a lot of it. That is the outcome. Travis Knight took what he felt was reasonable to make this be a prequel if necessary, but he left so much out that this could then send the franchise into a new direction. And I think that, you know, as I read through this article more and more, it was absolutely the right thing to do, because there is so much fudge in this history. And it was interesting in this article, some of the actual questions that were thrown up to ask Michael Bay, and some of them were, was Jesus a Witwican? He was, wasn't he? That's what the article says. Did the Autobots tear down the Berlin Wall? Did a Decepticon kill JFK to stop the discovery of Sentinel Prime? And it is mocking things a bit, but that's what you get when you just, you know, just pick history, tear it apart to try and satisfy another Transformers film. And that, in all honesty, is what the writers and Michael Bay did. There was no sort of thought of any continuity at this point. So you catch my drift. Check out the article. It is a good laugh. And sometimes it's a bit of a laugh, and I kind of think it's disappointing as a Transformers fan, because I defend this franchise quite a lot, and I did do that before B came out. And then when I read this back, sometimes I think some of these things are indefensible. Like, I shouldn't be trying to justify some of these things, because yes, the writing was bad. The history was bad, and the continuity was bad. But I like these movies for the action and for the excitement that they brought on the big screen. But without fail, I've always wanted a better Transformers live action universe, and we may have just got it. B didn't acknowledge the bad bits, the bits that made me cringe at times, so I'm thankful for Travis Knight for doing that. But that's enough. I think we've read enough, and I think if you want to go and read this for yourself, that's why I don't want to cover the entire article, because it is a good read. Check it out, link in the description to Polygon's article, and it will just have you, you know, at times thinking, oh yeah, we went there, didn't we? We did. Oh, why did we go there? Anyway, make sure you are subscribed to the channel for more Transformers content. Get involved in the comments and let me know what you think is the most ridiculous plot that Michael Bay brought to the franchise. Is it the fact that he went with B being around in wartime? Is it the fact he had Hitler being killed by a transforming watch? Is it the fact that Unicron was Earth? I'll never get over that. Or is it the fact that Stanley Tucci went back in time and became Merlin? Let me know in the comment section below, and all that's left to be said is please rate, comment and subscribe. Oh dear. Thank you, Travis Knight. This is Delzinski. Thank you, Michael Bay, for the laughs. Signing out.